Keith Kittredge.
Here.
Gavin Collett.
Here.
Roland Carroll.
Here.
Mitch Janoff.
Here.
Brett DeRoche. Scott Terrio. Brian Martz.
Here.
Benny Rome.
Here.
Monty Vegas. 1, 2, 3, 4. We barely have one.
Okay, you've been presented the minutes of last month's meeting. I'm looking for a motion to accept. Moved by Max, second by Gavin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, on the president's report, we had a couple of executive committee and finance committee meeting. We'll go over that a little later on. But also a reminder that ALBL conference is coming up December 3rd and 4th. Yeah, with Mary, so let her know you're coming. And,
Hotel rooms are reserved for the 2nd or the 3rd.
Okay, the executive committee, Nick, will you go over that?
Sure. So the executive committee minutes are in your packets. Most of these will be going over, actually all but one dealing with shoreline erosion of the Barrow Canal. Every other item is actually in my report, so
Okay.
I'll go over that in just a minute.
Okay. All right, anyone from the audience here to address the board? Okay, all right, move on to executive director's report.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. First item on my report, the approval of amendment number 1 to IGA for BA 0259, the Ted Gisclair lock. As I reported previously in previous minute, first thing on here. Technical difficulty.
It was working over there. All right.
And there we are. Okay. Sorry about that. So first up, the IGA, amendment number 1 to the IGA for BA 0259 Ted Gisclair lock. This is to update our existing agreement that we have with CPRA for them to provide us funding for the construction of the Ted Gisclair lock. Previously, we had $5 million from surplus funding from 2021 that was applied to this project from CPRA. Just before Christmas last year, they agreed to give us another $15 million. That was split up between $5 million in this in the 2026 annual plan and another $10 million to be approved by the legislature next session for the 2027 fiscal year annual plan. So this agreement right now is for the $5 million that was approved by the legislature this past legislative session, and the remaining $10 million will be up for a vote next legislative session. So that's what this IGA is for, that first $5 million. And that's from Go Mesa funding. So we need board approval to execute that amendment.
All right, you have a recommendation of general manager. Moved by Max, second by Brian. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next item, just updating you guys on the Corps of Engineers visit that happened at the end of September. Colonel Scotty Otan, the new commander of the New Orleans District Army Corps of Engineers, came down with some of his leadership team, and we discussed the progress that we had made on the risk assessment and our path forward in trying to get back into the rehabilitation and inspection program, and then longer term plans for the La Rose to Golden Meadow project in general. Part of that was discussion about the language that we had included in the 2024 Water Resources and Development Act. That language, if you remember, was to allocate $3 million of federal funding to do a report on the current state of our system, what our actual 100-year storm level elevations are, comparing that to like the biggest poster child, I feel like, is where Reach Ella Morganza to the Gulf ties into our system. They're authorized to 22.5 feet by 2035. And then where we tie in there, we're only authorized to about 9.6 feet. So obviously those numbers are wrong. So to have the Corps of Engineers figure out what our actual 100-year elevations are, not the 1965 numbers, but the now numbers, and then figure out what that would cost to get us from where we are to where we need to be, and see if that would warrant some kind of new federal action. In our discussions, we realized that Where that language ended up in the Word bill was not an actual, what we call a decision document. So we would have to get some subsequent congressional action happening after that. Or we could rethink how that language would be worded in the Word bill for next year, for 2026. We could have a study resolution put in place that would, the end product of that would be an actual decision document. That if the project would ultimately prove to be cost beneficial, we could end up with a new authorization for that future elevation. So overall, and I think President Gidrick could chime in if he wants, but the whole visit was extremely positive. I think we heard a lot of ideas that I had been thinking of that I heard come out of Colonel Otan's mouth himself. So we're kind of on the same wavelength, which is really exciting. He completely understands the importance of our area, not just on paper, but the things that we can't really, there's no way to quantify right now in the existing framework of benefit cost analyses and federal reports, like the economic benefit to our entire nation, or the economic detriment to our nation if LA1 is shut down and you can't get to Port Fourchon because we happen to be flooded, if that scenario would ever happen. So there's no current way to quantify that because what also hurts the Port Commission is ratings by the federal government on tonnage. And everybody who lives around here knows Port Fourchon is not really a shipping port, it's an oil and gas service port. But that doesn't mean that there's no benefit. It just means that the benefits have to be calculated differently than what most Corps of Engineers reports are calculated. And there's currently no way to do that. And so he's looking at internally how they can make that language happen. And we'll be looking at us to provide some kind of support in the coming couple of years to be able to make our case even better. So this was hopefully the first of many over the time that Colonel Otan's here, but overall it was extremely positive. And
He even talked about the storage tanks at Loop.
right, the importance of Loop there too, because like he was saying, there's a way to quantify the impact if Loop is shut down, but not because it's shut down, only because of any kind of damage that might happen to the Loop facility in Galliano. Not the fact that if the Loop facility is shut down, that hurts the national economy for however many days and for however many dollars. There's no way to quantify that, only the physical damage that might happen at the facility. And so he not only knew that that was a problem, but just knew that Loop was here to begin with, right? Which is more than some other district commanders have known in the past. So again, it was extremely positive, and as we have more developments on that and work with our congressional delegates to get more language in upcoming bills, I'll update the board as that happens. But we met here first at the office to discuss everything, and then we were able to bring Colonel Otan and his team out to the Leon Terrio Lock in Golden Meadows. They can see kind of one of the issues that we had that got us out of the rehabilitation and inspection program to begin with, when we put the higher flood wall on the south side of the original flood wall, because it wasn't high enough and we needed more elevation. And the Corps of Engineers had issues with the way that we designed that, even though now it's proven to be completely effective against a 300-year level storm in Hurricane Ida, much less a 100-year level storm that we need to get our new elevations for. So overall, very positive experience. Next, we did advertise for bids for a fixed price for a 1-year period for a vinyl sheet pile purchase. These would be for 18-inch wide, 12-foot long sheet piles. The winning bid was Triple Sun Lumber here locally in the system, and that winning price was $87.50 per sheet for a year. So I would definitely recommend that the board accept that bid.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our general manager to accept the bid from Triple Sun Farms for the sheet piles. Moved by Mr. Rowland, second by Gavin. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you, gentlemen. On the tail end of that, we're looking at our next area to target with sheet pile protection along our shoreline of our levee toe. And I think the next biggest problematic area, discussing with, internally with our staff, would be this area on the protected side, on the inside of A East. This is an area we had put sheet piles a few years ago, but we put sheet piles that I think were too short, and we put them too far from the bank line. The intent there was to have some space between the sheet piles and the shoreline that we could have collected sediment and have it naturally rebuild, but it never really worked. And instead, the sheet piles also being too short, I think it had too much wiggle room to be able to move back and forth. And some of them are totally gone now, but in any case, we need to remove the ones that were there that weren't effective and install some new ones. Overall, we've got about 3.6 miles of shoreline right here. Not all of it definitely needs to have sheet pile, because some areas we still have a little bit of marsh before you get to the actual levee footprint. So my recommendation to the executive committee, and that they're pushing to you guys today, is to approve up to $500,000 worth of sheet pile to be purchased, and for us to have our guys go start on the north end and work our way south to be able to address the most problematic areas with that $500,000. And then as we get close to that upset limit, we'll come back to you guys to purchase more if needed. But this $500,000 would be purchased under that sheet pile bid that you guys just approved. So I'd recommend approving that purchase of up to $500,000 worth of sheet piling.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our general manager to purchase the sheet piles to start that project. Moved by Matt, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. The next item is the sale of the surplus boat trailer. A couple meetings ago, we advertised, we declared this as surplus and advertised for bids to be collected on purchase of this boat trailer. We had one bid in the amount of $50 from Mr. Kelly Schwest. And so I'd recommend that y'all award that bid, and we can release that trailer.
You've heard the recommendation that we accept the bid for the boat trailer. Moved by Brian, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Next up, the 2026 capital outlay applications are coming due very soon. The last award that we had gotten was for the water gauge data systems, where we'd get water levels inside the system and out. We'd have climate system that can show us wind speed, direction, and rainfall around all of our pump stations throughout the system. We also had Representative Ogeron added in some extra funding to install flow meters at the two floodgates, the floodgate in LaRose and the lock in Golden Meadow, that would show us, based on the volume of water and the velocity, how a volume of water that was moving across those two gates at any given time. The benefit of that is, just in the 2.5 years since I've been here, there have been multiple grant opportunities where we would have needed this kind of data, but electronically, not the hand notes that we've taken for 40-something years. So I think the next step in all of this, in digitizing our system, would be installation of SCADA equipment. So this is equipment that would monitor our actual pumps themselves, our engines and the output. We'd be able to shut them off and turn them on remotely if wanted, but we can monitor RPMs, everything remotely, so that if we've got a guy who's working overnight, he doesn't have to physically drive from station to station at 2 in the morning when it's dark and dangerous, potentially raining. He can monitor from whatever station he's at and see if there's a problem at another station. Okay, now he knows he can go to there, instead of right now, he has to just kind of keep making the rounds in case something's wrong. And then by then, you may have had a pump that's been cavitating for 20, 30, 40 minutes and not have been able to know about it. So this whole system it'd be safer for our employees. It'd be safer for our equipment, that we're not necessarily running equipment too high and too hot for too long. The overall cost of this would be about $2 million, but I would definitely recommend that we have a resolution that we put this in for capital outlay funding for this coming year.
So we need
just a resolution. So.
Okay. All right, you've heard the recommendation of the general manager. Moved by Max, second by Gavin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, thank you, Jim. And then the last item I've got is the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority Board's October meeting will be held at the Coastal Center at Nichols this coming Wednesday. That starts at 9:30 a.m. And when they do these meetings, typically the CPRA meetings are held in Baton Rouge, but throughout the year they'll move around from in different parts of the coast. When they visit a different part of the coast, it's generally custom that the levee districts and the parishes in those areas give an update. So I'll be giving an update on y'all's behalf on Wednesday. So that's open to the public though. So Wednesday, October 15th, 9:30 a.m. at the Coastal Center at Nichols if anybody's interested in attending. If there's any questions, I'll definitely entertain those, but if not, that's my report.
All right, anything for Nick? All right, moving on, CPRA, Daniel, anything to report?
The only thing I had, Nick stole from me, so, it was this, said just clear a lot amendment of
Okay.
additional funding at the CPRA board meeting actually at the Coastal Center, Nichols, so, let me just reiterate that.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks.
Okay, anyone from the Corps? Project engineer, Pisciola Associate, Joe.
Yeah, on the LaRose Ted Jisker Lock project. So we're continuing to work with the parish's consultant on HMGP funding application. They've made a phase 1 submittal that FEMA is reviewing now. We're working on the phase 2 submittal with the parish's consultant in anticipation of good feedback from FEMA. So far, all of our work with the hydraulic study and modeling, along with benefit cost analysis, is coming out in our favor. So we're optimistic that this is going to be successful. It just may take some time. On Section E North Levee improvements, this is in Clovelly. Construction Site Specialties is the contractor. They're continuing to work and making good progress. They're working primarily on the protected side berm, and all of the crown of the levee and the elevation of the levee is at the elevation that we wanted, around a plus 15, which is really good for this area, a lot better than we were before during Ida. We also have Campo and Sons working with a dozer, helping grading and shaping as they're bringing the material in. So Construction Site Specialties has pay application number 17 in the amount of $141,858.74. We do recommend you approve that.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to pay Construction Site Specialties, $141,858.74. Moved by Gavin, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
And we also have a pay application number 12 from Campo and Sons LLC in the amount of $74,362.50, and we do recommend you pay that.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to pay Compo and Sons, $74,362.50. Moved by Brian, second by Mac. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
So Section A East levee improvements, we're still working with the Corps. We have all of our regulatory permits approved. So we have a state permit, we have a parish permit, we have a Corps regulatory permit. So now what we're trying to finalize is the 408 permission permit, which is for modification of federal projects. Nick and I had a meeting with them last week, and all went well. I mean, we have the risk analysis report, right? And then we're also finalizing the environmental analysis report. Once those two items are done, we feel we are going to get the permit. So hopefully sometime, I would venture to guess, sometime early next year, we'll have full approval to go forward with this project. on the emergency gate closure at the LaRose floodgate. So TLP Construction's a contractor. The winches were delivered and put in place. The project is complete, all looks good and operational. So they have pay application number 2 in the amount of $38,616.75. We do recommend you approve that.
If I could jump in real quick, do a video from just last week showing why it's potentially important that the amount of water coming in when you have high water in the intracoastal and you have to open it up to allow vessels to come through. If something would happen, that a cable would snap or whatever the case might be, that while this was the case that you had that much water that we wanted to come through, before these were installed, we had no way to really make that happen and close. It would be hours before we'd be able to actually close it. So this would allow us to, if we have something happen like a cable snap or any other issue, that we could then deploy these winch systems and close it and stop the area from potentially flooding inside from the bayou while fixing the problem.
Okay, so we have the pay app in the amount of $38,616.75 for approval.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation, engineer, to pay application number 2, amount of $38,616.75 to TLP Construction. Moved by Max, second by Gavin. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
And we also have the certificate of substantial completion for the project on the agenda for approval.
Okay. Recommendation of our engineer to accept the certificate of completion. Moved by Mr. Rowland, second by Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
On section D North Levee improvements, this is in the area of loop from pump station number 6 down to the Schwest Farm. We've completed our surveying. The field work for the geotechnical work is complete. We're waiting on a report from them. We've developed cross sections, and we're planning on going out for a permit with the Corps and the state fairly soon to start that process. So we'll go through the same process that we did on A East with this project in anticipation in maybe a year or so from now having full approval to do this project. This is one we did speak with the Corps when they came down for the visit about this project and others that we'd be submitting them to them, and they have really expressed cooperation. A lot more cooperation than they have in the past years. Any questions?
Any questions for Joe?
Thank you.
Joe. Moving on, GIS, John?
Good afternoon, John Plaisance with GIS Engineering. The first project to discuss is the East by Lafourche Water Retention Project. Again, that is still a little bogged down with negotiations with the property owners. You can see the greenish original alignment. If you can kind of see that yellow line cutting across from left to right, that is the property line of the owner on the north side who did not want us at all on their property, so we're discussing moving it to the blue alignment below the yellow line with a different property owner.
I did email them back several times since the last meeting, including one last week where I was told that they would have a report to them by a consultant that they had hired to assess all this, that report would be given to them by the end of last week. I didn't hear back from them, so I emailed them back this morning and have gotten no response yet. So just want to make sure you guys realize it's not our engineers dropping the ball or anything. It's communication with the landowner is taking a long time.
Okay, the D North ramp lift project is the ramp over the levee at Loop. It is substantially complete. I don't know how many pictures Mary's got, but there you go, pictures of them striping the road. It is open to Loop's facilities. We'll be having an official walkthrough on Thursday. But it's substantially complete. We have pay application number 5 in the amount of $39,964.35 in front of y'all today.
And who is that to, John?
That is to onshore.
Onshore. All right, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to pay onshore, pay application number 5, the amount of $39,964.34.
35 cents.
35 cents, all right. Moved by Mitch. All right. Second by Mac. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
And we also have a recommendation for substantial completion pending any punch list we come up with on
So
Thursday.
we can approve that now, pending. Okay.
I think so.
All right, you've heard the recommendation of our engineer to accept the substantial completion. Moved by Brian, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed.
Yeah, the Raphael Project Road Bridge replacement. We are working on alternates to present to you and the property owners in that area. That should be in the next month or so. The E West levee improvements in E North, northwest corner, northeast corner. Nick was having some questions, I don't know about questions, but want some final details to work out on the engineering agreement. So once he gets that settled, we'll start work on that. And finally, the Breton Canal Weir, y'all opened it up all the way for the first time last Monday, and this is more impressive if you've got the video on there, but that water was really moving, and you can see when they shut it off that a lot of the riprap has been dislodged. So we've got a preliminary plan to repair that. We think it's going to cost about $90,000. We plan on getting quotes for that. I don't know if y'all want to give Nick and President Keith to award that contract before next meeting, but it'll probably take 2 or 3 weeks to get those quotes, so y'all.
What are y'all thinking about doing? Cementing or?
I'm sorry, what?
Cementing or no? Yeah.
Yes and no. We're going to put in a base, some 6-inch aggregate to hold the riprap. We're going to go up 2 classes of stone, but after that's in place, the plan is to come in, put some flowable fill to fill in the areas so that the rocks will be sturdier in place.
Okay,
This was just over time, or that was mostly from that?
It's mostly from that one.
It was that
opening.
one thing.
But this would be larger rocks that we put in place, so more stable.
Right, the rocks that were in place weighed roughly 55 pounds, a 55-pound class riprap. Then it goes to 125, I'm sorry, to 130, then it goes to 250, so we're going to go to 250-pound riprap.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of the engineer to give Nick and I the authority to sign the contract once it's done. Moved by Max, second by Gavin. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Any questions for John? Thank you, John.
Okay, thank you.
Angelic Design, Neil.
All right, on B North and B South levee maintenance, we have new gym construction working on the protected side berm of the levee. Today we're recommending approval of their invoice number 1055 in the amount of $86,490.
All right, you've heard the recommendation of the engineer to pay new gym construction, $86,490. Moved by Brian, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, also in the same levee segment, just a little bit further out, we have Compo and Sons Construction working on the flood side maintenance and also on protected side berm. We're recommending approval of their invoice number 1442 in the amount of $201,082.50. And that's for flood side work and protected side berm work.
All right, you've heard the recommendation of the engineer, pay request invoice 1442 to Compo and Sons, amount of $201,082.50. Moved by Max, second by Gavin. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, that's all I have.
Thank you. Delta Coast, anything?
Kyle Pierce with Delta Coast. For Morganza, I'd just like to report on Reach L. We talked about last time, what I like to call, I guess, the South Dufresne Form levee. We're about 95% complete on the sea level portion of that, which would be from the western side to the pump station to about a +10. And we've just changed ordered in to go, I guess, would be east of the pump station back to your guys' levee. Not quite that whole segment, but a portion of it. I know y'all still have some equipment on that levee doing some work out there as well. And then the pipeline wall on Reach L, they pretty much got the bridge complete, with the exception of the approaches. The approaches are being worked on right now. And then the actual wall itself, they've gotten to the first pipeline, and they're getting ready to start driving piles underneath that pipeline and get that thing in place. Other than that, I have Corbin here to go over the data monitoring systems.
Good afternoon, Corbin Neighbor with Delta Coast. Requesting approval on Amendment 1 to Delta Coast Engineering Agreement with South Lafourche Levee District. This is a $0 change. It's solely just to change the scope written in our agreement. We're going to be submitting these invoices to FP&C as part of the local cost share. So we wanted to make sure that the scope of our services matched up with our invoices. So just a $0 change to add our bidding, advertisement scope, and our construction oversight.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to change our agreements. Moved by Mac, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
That's it? All right. Legal permits and right of way, anything, man? Oh, how can I forget?
You tried.
Got up too fast. Why you got young female feather key? Why you got treatment like that, man? Stevie Smith with All South got a couple of projects to report on. The first one is the Reach K terrace repairs. This is one we're still waiting on reimbursement for the dollars expended to repair the terraces that were damaged by Hurricane Barry. Same report I had last month. We are very close to getting you reimbursed. I checked with those folks Thursday and Friday of last week and did not get a response about when this district will get reimbursed, but there are no other outstanding requests for information or anything. It's simply got to go through the last two steps at GoSep. So reimbursement for this cost could not be more imminent, frankly, okay? The next project is the but the continued improvements of Reach K levee, particularly the center section. So this is the section between the two water control structures along the cutoff canal. The levee now from Pontchartrain up to the second water control structure is all out of +11. It's built to template. The levee itself is complete, and there was actually some funds left over within the project. So what we're doing now that the levee is complete, we are going back and doing both some berm work on the flood side of the Reach K levee. There are areas where the berm has subsided substantially. So we're adding some more material on the flood side berm there. That's what's going on right now. And then we're also going to use some of the dollars that are available. You can see some areas where the berm is literally facing the canal itself. And in those areas where we have available dollars, we're going to do some armoring there. So we're going to rock some of the places where we don't have any marsh in front of the berm anymore. We don't have enough money left over in the project to do all the areas that need to be armored. But we're in a good spot to where we're able to dedicate a few $100,000 to both elevating berm and doing some armoring over there. That work will probably be done in the next 3 weeks. So when that's done, we'll certainly have 4 miles of Reach K up to +11, and then armoring and berm work on a good portion of it. So it actually really it looks pretty good. Best that it's looked in, frankly, ever, right? So. The last agenda item we worked with Nick on soliciting proposals for what we call pre-positioned contracts. So these are contracts where you have contractors available to you in case of a storm. When we try to get you reimbursed by FEMA for work done, they always want to check to see whether you had a competitive bid to hire folks to do work. So by doing this now, when you don't have a storm, you have folks on the contract that are into this storm season and through next storm season, folks that can provide dump trucks, fill material, dozers, generators, we have a whole almost 80 items on a spreadsheet. This is actually something that the Terrebonne Levee District has also done recently. So you have these folks basically on call if you need it. Those proposals were taken on September 18th. The district received 7 proposals. 2 of them were disqualified because they didn't submit all the necessary paperwork. Nick and our team worked to evaluate the 5 that were submitted, and we're recommending 3 for award tonight. We got a letter of recommendation from my staff recommending award of these pre-positioned contracts to Levee, Dirt Service, Onshore Materials, and Sea Level Construction. And again, these folks, if you award this project, we'll put them under contract, but there's no work orders yet. We've got them on standby in case of disaster hits, and if so, then Nick would call them out as need be, depending on the severity of any disaster. That's been presented to the board. If the board approves it, we have a unified rate schedule that we're going to use for this work, so everybody's billing the same amount for a certain class of dump truck or for a certain type of equipment. So it's not a mishmash of rate schedules. It's only one that they've all agreed to. Okay. So, did I miss anything, Nick?
No, just for clarification, this is not work related to removal of debris. That's a completely separate contract.
Correct.
We still have Dynamic Group and KDF Enterprises as those 2 primary companies that we would call in the case that we had a lot of debris that we needed to remove from the levee. So this is a completely separate contract. That would be if we need, like Stevie said, if we need emergency pumps brought in, if we need generators, like something got hit at our pump stations, we couldn't start up our pumps because we didn't have generators or compressors, we can have those delivered pretty quickly from local companies and be back up and running as fast as possible.
So this is 25, 26, what year?
It would be the agreement would start now, so. For a year?
Till November of next year, yes. So it covers next season as well, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation from engineer to accept the contract.
Do all of them separate or all at one time?
They do all at one time.
You can do all at one time to Ryan, correct, to be able to approve?
I would say yes, Nick.
Okay. Moved by Mac, second by Gavin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, Stevie. Sorry about that. Okay, Mitch, legal permits and
Got
right.
4 permits this month. The first one is granted Lafourche Port Commission. Second is Lafourche Parish Government, Restore Louisiana Housing Program, and Columbia Gulf Transmission. After reviewing these 4, looking the board to approve these 4 permits.
Okay,
The only comment I would have is the Restore.
You want to speak on that?
What was that one, the Restore?
Restore, LA Restore Program.
So this is a house along Delta Farm Road or off of one of the side streets on Delta Farm that's right near the flood wall on the Intracoastal. We are aware of it, and we made the Corps of Engineers notified of it. It kind of brought up to our attention that the fact when things are constructed within X number of feet of the levee or flood wall, the parish government's permitting process does not notify the applicants that they have to contact us. So that's something that I'm working with the parish government on, making sure that that's part of their checklist moving forward. But they want to be able to drive pilings to be able to have a pile supported house. The Corps of Engineers is going to be reviewing this, so whatever the Corps' decision is going to trump ours. So, and they're going to be much more thorough than our desktop review. So as long as the Corps of Engineers signs off on it, we'll be fine. The Corps cannot start their review process until we sign off that we don't have an issue with it, which, like I said, we really don't.
Flood wall.
okay, you've heard the recommendation of our permits chairman to accept these permits. Moved by Brian, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. All right, Mr. Attorney?
That last vote was good. That's all I got.
Finance Committee, Mon is not here, but the committee members met and reviewed all invoices, and
Yes, for approval.
we recommend that we accept them. Moved by Mac, second by Mitch, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. We canceled our insurance committee meeting because we didn't have a quorum for that. So any old business? Any old business? Any new business? No need for executive session, okay. Entertain a motion. Moved by Matt, second by Gavin, that we adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.